Good afternoon, you bastards. Welcome all back to Midas Letter RAW. Today we're going to have a really great show. We've got Ed Milewski here. He's going to give us chart analysis.
Crikey.
And we're going to have shrimps on the barbie.
And Foster's.
No, we're on the wagon. We're not drinking. That's it. We're through.
You're on the wagon. I'm not on the wagon.
Euro? What euro?
Eurozone.
I hear that Brexit is having second thoughts about itself.
It would appear that way.
Pity.
You know, they say that, they would have such red tape that they couldn't transport food across the border without maybe 8 days of waiting around and the food would all rot.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. Our complicated universe.
Amazing.
Rah, rah, rah. Anyways, big news, Ed.
BIG news.
Our brilliant boys in the control room have fixed the NDI issue, and now charts are available for one and all. There is going to be a lot more chart action going on here, and that's because we finally figured out our software. Just saying. Anyways, PDAC coming up next week, the world's largest mining conference happening here in Toronto. If you care, go there. If you don't care, come here. We're going to be all about the cannabis, all about the, well, actually, sorry, I lied. Let's go back. How about that mining conference, Ed? How many mining stocks are you long right now that are all up?
Well, I can tell you, it's been a bit of a run.
Can you tell me within like the next 20 minutes? Okay, you can. I have made the purchase of a lifetime.
Would you buy?
American Amex Exploration.
Yeah,
Thanks to you. You actually told me about it.
I twisted your arm.
3 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
5
and
weeks
now
ago.
it has literally not doubled, not tripled, not quadrupled, quintupled in value. And, me being me, I start selling it. But because I'm such a slow-witted sloth and a bit of a twat at times, I neglected to sell one big pile, which I've now find myself in possession of, and it's worth even more than I thought it would ever be. But how about that?
Well,
I'm making money in spite of myself.
Yeah. Well, maybe
this is the great thing about our show.
Maybe you're learning something.
Well, no, it's the case. Here's the thing. It's that at this show, you will make money in spite of yourself. Not learn how to make money. You will make money in spite of all of your bad habits, all of your lack of discipline, all of your absence of knowledge. We will parlay that into a fortune.
Well, look, if we get lucky and we do have a bona fide commodity cycle beginning, and there's some science pointing to it.
Some science.
Signs.
Signs
said. Blah, 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 blah.
Sunset, yeah, right. Long-haired, freaky people over there.
Do not apply.
Anyways, check out my new NDI broadcast going straight to the screen here. Look at this. If you want to know why I'm so confused every day.
Wow, look at that.
That's actually...
Heritage Cannabis.
Sorry, what I have to do, I've got to learn to drive this thing. Now I go File. I want Windows Server. No, what happened there? Google, Craig, Cloud, no, Safari, what the fuck? But it's showing the, oh, I see, but I want quote stream.
Yeah. Geez, that thing has really moved.
File, quote stream. No, wait, I need NDI. File. There's no quote, oh, there it is. Quote stream desktop pro. Look at this, watch, behold. Bum, 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 bum. There it is, folks. That's why I'm so confused.
No, it's over there.
I got all these boxes up, and I have no idea what all this flying freaking data is. And in fact, if you want to know how that makes me feel, I have one thing to show you here. Whoops, that's not it. Oh, wait, I don't know if this will work because we're just learning the NDI thing here again. Yeah. And here, where did it go? Oh, I see. Because I didn't do it on here, it's only on the other one. Okay, we're not going to show you that today. Anyways, so let's take a look at... so now, this is what I've been trying to show you guys for weeks, and maybe you care, maybe you don't, but how do we get this thing to full size? This little sucker right here. Does it work? We can go that way. Not really. here's what we got going on the show today.
Yeah, what's going on? We got
at 3:05, what do you think's going to happen? Same thing happens every day.
Sounds of silence.
And if you look at that backdrop behind the board here, that's actually what's happening in Toronto right now. We're having snow. We're having somewhere between 15 and 20 centimeters worth of snow. And that's actually the look out of our office
It looks
window.
foggy to me.
Well, that's because there's so much snow. At 3:05, Ricky Gerwitz is, of course, going to read the news. At 3:15, Mark Goliger is going to be here from National Access Cannabis. At 3:40, Greg Engel, CEO of OrganiGram, joins us. And as usual, post your questions so we can answer them. 4 o'clock, market close, some arguably succinct and discerning and God, what's the term I'm looking for? I can't remember. Anyways, some charts. We're going to have your charts. And then at 4:15, we're going to have a feature. We're going to talk about the reality of the weed hangover. But now, ladies and gentlemen, live from the top of the Exchange Tower in the center of the economic universe of Canada, it's Ricky Gerwitz with the news.
Thanks, James, and here are the headlines moving markets today. OrganiGram Holdings Inc. has announced the conversion of $98 million debentures into common shares. The company has elected to exercise its 6% convertible unsecured debentures due January 31st, 2020 to convert all of the principal amount outstanding of the remaining debentures into common shares of the company. Pursuant to the terms of the indenture, the company could force the conversion of the debentures at the conversion price of $5.42 per common share when the volume-weighted average trading price for 10 consecutive trading days exceeds $7.05. Valens GroWorks Corp has entered into a multi-year extraction services agreement to provide cannabis and hemp extraction services to Tilray Canada Limited. Under the terms of the agreement, Valens will extract a minimal annual quantity of 15,000 kilograms of dried cannabis and hemp. The company will receive and process the cannabis and hemp on a fee-for-service basis into crude, distillate, or other cannabis oil derivatives as required by Tilray. Curaleaf Holdings Inc. has signed a definitive agreement to acquire Eureka Investment Partners, LLC. Based in Monterey County, California, Eureka operates a cultivation facility in the Salinas Valley and is developing 3 dispensaries across the state. The addition of Eureka's cultivation platform will provide Curaleaf access to California's wholesale market. Amex Exploration Inc. has provided an update on the ongoing drilling of the Eastern Gold Zone. The drilling at the Perrin project has intersected additional high-grade gold mineralization in the first lateral step-out program on the high-grade zone of the EGZ. Choom Holdings has entered into a definitive agreement with Clarity Cannabis MD Holdings and its shareholders to acquire 30 retail locations. Choom is currently operating 3 stores in the legal adult-use cannabis market in Alberta and is awaiting licenses for 7 cannabis retail stores. High Tide Inc. has been licensed to open its 10th Canna Cabana retail store located in Calgary. High Tide is an Alberta-based company focused on the distribution of cannabis accessories and lifestyle products. Hill Street Beverage Company has signed a national agreement with Lifford Cannabis Solutions Inc. Lifford will be responsible for the sales and distribution of Hill Street's cannabis-infused beverage portfolio in Canada. Its sales team will be working to maximize the number of locations Hill Street's cannabis-infused beverage portfolio is sold. Koya's Beverage Corp has signed a vendor agreement with Walmart Inc. Initially, Koya's products will be available in over 1,000 Walmart locations across the United States. The retail giant will carry pear guava, blood orange, and peach mango beverages. The products will also be available through Walmart's online portal and will be available in stores April 1st, 2019. High Hampton Holdings Corp announced the launch of 3 new cannabis edible products to California dispensaries through its wholly owned subsidiary, Caligold. Caligold is expanding into the concentrates market with Caligold Live Resin, Caligold Sugar, and Caligold Sauce. MPX International Corporation announced that a total of 3.175 million stock options to purchase common shares of MPX International were granted to officers, directors, and employees and consultants of the company and its subsidiaries. These were offered at an exercise price of 59 cents per share and expire on February 26, 2024. The grant is subject to regulatory approval, and under the company's stock option plan, 9.77% of the issued and outstanding common shares are reserved for issuance. And the company may grant an additional 100,000 options under the stock option plan, representing 0.23% of the issued and outstanding common shares. Amex Capital Holdings Inc. announced that Forefront Holdings, LLC, has recently closed 2 acquisitions that expand its national presence with new opportunities in Massachusetts and Arizona. Amex and Forefront have signed a binding letter agreement pursuant to which Forefront has agreed to combine with Amex in an all-stock transaction. Canopy Rivers has closed its previously announced bought deal financing of subordinated voting shares of the company with a syndicate of underwriters, led by CIBC Capital Markets and 8 Capital. The bought deal consisted of subordinated voting shares at a price of $4.80 per share for gross proceeds of approximately $63.5 million. And Canopy Rivers, along with MedMed Enterprises, are expected to announce their quarterly financial reports later today. And that's your news for today.
Unbelievable, Ed. Unbelievable. $4.80 a share. 63 million bucks in the war chest.
What was the high of that? RIV, right?
Yes. What was the all-time high of Rivers since it started trading?
$10 or something like that?
Well, it opened at 16 or something, didn't it not?
According to this, it got as high as 12 or something.
Oh.
Close to 12.
Well, that's nice and vague.
And up to 12, it shot up to...
No, there's September 21st.
So when a company raises money...
Yeah. What does it mean?
Well, it usually means they think they're getting a fair buck for their paper.
Yeah. Well, and especially in a company like Rivers, whose business model is the acquisition of ownership positions in companies that it does not intend to operate. It's basically an investment vehicle.
Really?
Right?
Really?
Right.
I bought some OSO today.
You did?
Yeah.
What'd you pay?
I was sleeping at the switch this morning. I paid $27.
You bought it while you were sleeping at the switch?
I was sleeping at the switch.
Wow, that's remarkable. How did you do that?
Mental telepathy.
Mental telepathy.
Yeah.
That's disturbing. You have the ability to move things with your mind?
Yep. Watch, I'll show you an example.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, watch this. Keep your eye on the screen. There you go. Watch, look, there you go.
That's
See,
hilarious.
look, see, just look at, move that line.
Wow.
Watch. Look at the line move.
Wow.
Look at it.
Okay, so I'm looking at just because your telepathic tricks are fun, but really neither here nor there.
Not real.
On my NDI, I'm looking at the 2-day trading chart of Osoyo's Cannabis.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've got to switch it in here. Damn it. Boy, this is going to take some getting used to.
Yeah.
I have to go to my where the hell is no server, Google Chrome, don't see it. Too bad. I had it, but it's no non-existent.
This thing's only been trading for 6 months.
Not there.
Wow.
1 second, Ed. Technical details. Why can't I see Safari? What is going on? Oh well, it's not there.
I'm not. God, please speak again.
God, please speak.
Okay, well, I got.
All right, here we go.
I got something here called Canopy Rivers. Yeah.
That's
There. Now there we go. Okay, now here we go. So look, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell us what's going on, Ed.
And you say they just raised $63 million?
Yes.
So look. So this is actually a bit of a boring company. We've had a nice little pop here, and now we're back into this. Look at that. A little bit of sleepy.
But the company did enjoy a bit of a value catalyst from which it has not retraced back there in before January. Well, that was the bottom. All the cannabis stocks bottomed at the end of January. Canopy Rivers was not immune to that effect.
Yeah, they all did, and it's rallied somewhat. Yeah, well,
but it really hasn't participated in the New Year rally.
No, it hasn't. But they probably haven't done a lot either, have they? Like, have they made some acquisitions and done some things?
They have made several acquisitions. Yeah, they've got holdings in a whole bunch of stuff.
And probably
but they don't acquire companies outright. They just make investments. So I don't believe everyone constitutes necessarily a press release, which is potentially why it's like a little bit under the radar, as it were.
Right. High Hampton had some big news, didn't they?
Yeah. High Hampton.
Let's take a look at High Hampton.
High Hampton. What was High Hampton's news?
New products with one of their subsidiaries, Cali Gold.
Cali Gold.
Cali Gold.
Yeah.
And I've partaken in that particular strain.
So are those pre-rolls? Dried product? Premium flour?
They're chocolate bars.
Chocolate bars.
But they're expanding the line.
And the chocolate bars are potent?
Ooh. They're so potent they make you impotent.
They're what? They're so potent they make you impotent. That's a little bit too potent.
But when when you have a big ego, you think you're impotent.
Impotent.
No, important.
No, it's omnipotent.
Important.
Oh, impotent. You take impotent.
I'm an very important guy.
When you say you're powerful, it means omnipotent.
I'm important.
You're not impotent. I'm potent.
You're impotent.
I'm potent. I'm omnipotent. You are my slave. You will do as I say. Get down on your knees and please the Portuguese. Never mind.
Please, the man of war?
That's right. Ferdinand Magellan rides again.
Oh my God.
So anyways, Mark Goliger is here from CEO of National Cannabis Corp. And not really sure whether he's in the studio or whether he's coming to us via Skype or by a spaceship, because the roads in Toronto today. Can we get a look outside at the streets of Toronto again quickly? Is that possible? Look there we go. Who would want to be driving in that? Flying in that, never mind.
Yeah.
Mark is going to be here shortly. He's just getting wired for sound. He's going to be an improvised roadside explosive device here in just a minute. But tell you what, why don't we look at how their stock is doing?
Right.
We'll wait to go to the intro till we see the whites of Mark's eyes. But let's pull up a chart. The symbol is NOC. Okay, there's Mark. We'll be back with Mark in just a second. Here's a little quick intro just to refresh your memory as to what National Access Cannabis is all about.
National Access Canada is a healthcare service provider that specializes in prescribing medical cannabis and provides members with ongoing education and care. Through its network of medical cannabis clinics, partner pharmacies, clinical research division made a cannabis supply company, and New Leaf cannabis retail stores, the company enables patients access to Canada's network of authorized licensed producers of cannabis. National Access Cannabis is listed on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol META.
Hey, back here with Mark Goliger, CEO of National Access Cannabis Corp, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol META. Mark, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Mark, what is the business model of National Access Cannabis?
Well, we are a retailer, a pure play retailer, although we focus both on medical and recreational here in Canada. Our history is one of clinic operations, supporting patients' access to legal cannabis with the ACMPR and getting the LPs to ship directly to our patients. We've now expanded into pharmacy, and of course we have the biggest footprint of retail recreational stores across Canada right now, sitting at 24 if you count our Saskatchewan acquisition.
24 physical locations where people can walk in and buy cannabis, be they medical patients and or recreational patients.
That's right, except for in those rec stores right now, they are selling to more rec consumers because we can't process medical patients in rec retail here in Canada yet.
Oh, that's just one of the rules that they haven't...
One of many,
right.
Yeah, that's right.
One little further impediment to what we call a free and fair market. Cool, so what is the biggest seller in National Access Cannabis stores for the most part?
High THC flower.
Is it still?
Oh, for sure, absolutely,
really?
Yep.
So everybody, a lot of the LPs come on the show and they sort of suggest that the trend is toward extracts, and is that simply is not materializing as the case, at least in your stores?
It's a very good question. When you say extracts, right now in Canada, there are really two different product lines. One is flower-based products, and the other is just oil, just pure oil, whether that's in capsules or in eyedroppers for sublingual.
Right.
So
this is not. I'm sure most of you have figured this out if you bought some of this oil and tried to smoke it. It's not our old hash oil or weed oil. It's actually extract diluted in MCT oil, which I found out the hard way.
The hard way?
Can I say yes? Pioneer explorer from way back. Okay, so National Access Cannabis, though, it started off as and this was a business model that a few of the LPs tried to roll out simultaneously to becoming major producers.
Yeah.
It was a great way because all these patients who are currently using opiates and or other substances to ameliorate traditional medical conditions heard about cannabis, knew it was illegal, but didn't know how to go about learning whether it was appropriate, how to access it, which was the right strain for them. Is that the foundation, the premise upon which National Access Cannabis actually started?
Yeah, back in 2014, 2015, we pioneered with our first medical clinic that was under one roof, having doctors and educators support patients so that they would gain knowledge. When you look at the history of that kind of sector, or that beginning for our company and others, there were very few doctors that were comfortable with cannabis at that point. So it was giving them a roof by which they could operate, as well as to get patients exposure to doctors who knew something about cannabis and were willing to prescribe it. So that's kind of the starting point in history. We grew across Canada with a fairly large footprint of clinics. At one point we had 11. That put different flags on the map and gave us experience with cannabis. And then we knew we wanted to pivot into recreational so that we could bring health and wellness concepts and knowledge about cannabis to create safe and responsible distribution through retail environments. We won the RFP in Manitoba. We were one of 4 proponents who did receive, in this case, a quarter of the province, and that was kind of our first mover into rec retail. And then we were lucky enough to get 14 licenses in Alberta under a brand called New Leaf before there was the moratorium on licenses, and they kind of shut down, which at that point, and I guess currently, puts us at about 20% of the Alberta market. And I think 33% of the Manitoba market right now.
And your last reported quarter was no small thing by any stretch. You reported revenue of $3.8 million and a modest loss per share. But so at what point does this enterprise become profitable?
Well, we press released on our 80 days of legalization that we hit 10 million in revenue. So that is public knowledge. Of course, that was quite a bit ago. We're seeing climbs in revenue per store, per province, and per system.
So this is in the subsequent quarter?
So the way our fiscal quarters are, we have September, October, November, and now we will have much better quarter when we're showing December, January, and February results.
Because it includes those 81st days of legalization.
It includes that for sure, and we have many more stores that we've added to our footprint. So I have to be careful on what I disclose, but I can say that our second quarter will be much better than our first quarter, and we are showing great growth.
Right. Interesting. So is there a reason for an investor to be attracted to this more so than to investing directly into an LP?
Yeah, I think that right now a lot of focus has been on licensed producers and that side of the industry, the upstream component of cultivation. There's been some focus on midstream, on production, but there hasn't been enough focus on retail. But if you look at the pull-through from retail, we really control a lot of the vertical nature of the industry, because if we don't pull the products, then they don't reach our shelves, they don't reach consumers. So retail has a very important part of this industry, and there hasn't been a lot of attention there. So as far as the share is concerned, we do, of course, like everybody, feel that we're undervalued.
Right.
But with numbers that we have shown and numbers that we're going to show, we are comparable to some mid-level LPs, yet we haven't reached their same kind of valuation point. So I think our stock and our call it downstream side of the industry is something that investors should start paying more attention to, because we are going to play a more and more important role, especially as you see LPs start to consolidate and some LPs start to fail as well, because they're not being able to get their kind of future story to line up with their present day reality.
Right. Which one's going to fail first?
Oh man. Yeah.
I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Hey, look, I want more friends. I don't want more enemies.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you continue to grow this company if there's sort of a limited number of storefronts available in each province?
Yeah, good question. So there's a multi-strategy approach here. One is improve per store revenue, which of course we can do as we improve supply, which is a pull through to the province, getting the right stuff on our shelves to make sure that we're maximizing inventory turnover.
Right.
Increase our footprint. So right now we're sitting at 24 if you include Saskatchewan. We have goals to be right across Canada in all the provinces that they will accept private retailers. We assume that will be around 135 over the next, let's say, 2 years, depending on licensing, of course. So that will be significant growth. And then our medical side as well. We have now 145 pharmacies under contract. We plan to grow that exponentially over the next year and start creating an improved medical channel through pharmacies instead of just through clinics. As we know, over time, pharmacies are going to dispense this medication. There's no other product that I know of that isn't dispensed through pharmacy that is considered a medicine. So we have that program, and then looking internationally as well at where can we take our business system and business model and export it either through licensing, joint ventures, or just organic growth into new medical markets. Australia, New Zealand, Germany, the UK, South America. The world's really opening up, and I think that a strong Canadian company with a great storyline and a strong business system can do quite well, assuming that we don't box ourselves in to Canada or Canadian regulators box us in.
Right. So is that then the large part of the growth strategy, an international one?
Well, I think if you look at revenue generation over 2019, a majority of our revenue will come from recreational, retail, domestic storefronts. Growing out, taking 24 and hopefully doubling it over this calendar year. Of course, that's subject to the licensing authorities providing licenses. Will produce very good revenue streams, and ultimately running efficient operations will lead to good EBITDA numbers. When you look at the long term, there's a significant opportunity on the international medicinal side.
Right.
But it's going to take a while for Australia to come online and really reach the stage that Canada is at currently, and same with Germany, same with these other markets. So it's more of a first mover strategy to create a foothold within these different locations as they figure their stuff out.
In Europe, what is the status? What's the progress of legalization? Like, I know the UK recently flip-flopped from never going to happen to, okay, here's 3 licenses.
Right.
Germany's been a long-term advocate for medical, but they've still only got 30,000 patients countrywide. Right. Why is this, whereas in Canada, it started at a quick pace and the pace only accelerated. Why is it that in Europe, the pace has it's kind of there, but it's really not there?
Well, I guess to say that we've gone quite quickly, you'd have to look at the history. Would we say we went quite quickly in the last 4 years, but the 14 years before that was quite slow? When did we really start talking about medicinal cannabis? Was it in 2001? I think there's different arguments that you could make. I think that because of the pressure that's coming out of Canada and other markets, some of these international players that you mentioned are playing catch up. And when you have big companies like we have here in Canada putting pressure through government relations and through industry relations into those countries to try and gain this risk board-esque market first mover advantage, you start to find that they're trying to play catch up and make sure that they have an industry.
Right.
So I guess that's a long-winded answer of saying there's different and new pressure points that are being pushed on to these different opportunities, let's call them, where we didn't have them when you look back at our history, because there wasn't a Canada type industry that was legal that was forcing those changes.
Okay, that's a good answer. I want to ask you in closing, what is the number one reason that, as a cannabis investor, that I should be considering National Access Cannabis right now?
Well, there are a lot of things I'd love to talk about, but they haven't been press released, so I have to be careful. I think that just on the surface of things, if you look at our footprint and you look at our revenue that we're going to be able to build as a system, as it's getting exponentially bigger as our stores are starting to mature and new stores are coming online, 2019 is really about revenue generation for LPs, for producers, for downstream as well. And we have the footprint that can generate those type of returns, those type of revenues. And then ultimately, 2020, for all companies, will focus on the actual EBITDA and earnings per share.
Okay. Great, Mark. We're going to leave it there. We'll come back to you in due course. Thanks for your participation today.
Thank you very much.
We've got some companies that are getting ready to report earnings. In fact, West and Co. is going to report Q3 earnings tomorrow. And there will be a conference call on the heels of that at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. CV Sciences, symbol CVSI, is reporting their Q4 on March the 12th. Acreage Holdings is reporting their Q4 on March the 12th. And Tilray is going to report their Q4 on March the 18th. So, lots of earnings coming up, and earnings is the theme of the cannabis industry in 2019, Ed, as these companies transform from development stage to, what should we call it, commercial stage?
Well, cash flow.
Cash flowing stage.
Generating some cash.
Yeah. Look at you, did you take some short pills while you were out there? Just not gonna go?
Now let me take some high pills.
Wow, look at you. You a big man. You a real big man around here.
I'm the big boy.
You a big man.
I'm the big boy.
Yeah. So, National Access Cannabis, you a buyer?
What's the ticker?
META. Where were you? Would you go to the bathroom or something?
Where was I?
Close the door,
Where
put
was
on
I?
earmuffs?
Well,
META is the ticker.
Wherever I was there.
Let's pull up a symbol. Let's pull up a stock chart. What about that? Oh boy, my battery's about to die on my laptop.
Again?
Suzanne, you could...
Oh, really? Today, you want your charger?
Yes, please. Yes, it says
What's
that
the ticker?
META. Mike?
Meta.
Michelin? Elephant? Twat? Apricot. What? Is that a bad word? I don't understand. Everybody gives me a dirty look when I say that. I thought, we've been saying that in my house since I was a child. Maybe we're just
do you know what that word means?
Well, I think it means idiot, doesn't it?
No.
Fool?
No.
What? Bad person? It's something
it
to do
usually
with...
describes a part of the female anatomy.
And I think you're making that up.
Okay.
I think we're
Why are you turning red?
I think I'm not turning red.
You shut the lights off.
Would I be glowing in the dark?
You'd be.
Oh boy!
You'd get a wire immediately from Santa Claus.
Have you seen that show called Hot Ones on YouTube?
I try not to watch television, James.
It's not television; it's YouTube.
Never seen it.
Anyways, this show, this guy gets all these famous personages on, and he interviews them while they're forced to eat. Not forced; they sign up for this while they eat a plate full of chicken wings that get hotter and hotter and hotter. And
do they know it's getting hotter?
Well, they do. They've signed up for this thing. They said, "Here's the deal: you want to come on the show and have an interview." Big.
And they're going like
this. Oh God, you got to watch it. It is
hilarious.
The funniest thing I've ever seen. The last episode I watched,
who was
at
on?
25, it was Gordon Ramsay, the restaurateur who has that show, and it was. I got to say, I don't think I've laughed as hard at anything on YouTube since this. Wait a sec. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Oh, looks like my computer died. Anyways, we weren't quite.
Hey, while
fast
we're
enough.
talking here, I got to make a little
phone call.
No, I'm going to make an observation.
All right, what is that?
You could have bought Chiron this morning.
Yes.
At 3:30. Do you know where it's trading at right now? Take a wild guess.
4.
Wrong.
5.
Actually, you're pretty close with the 4.
Really?
380, 379.
Yeah. And your point is?
A bit of a reversal.
You mean from it was down?
Well, it went up.
Okay, we need a chart. Enough about this speculative bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, because really, if you look at, you could have bought on January 15th, you could have bought Chiron for $1.60, but Chiron, then went on to roar up to 350, and it's got a whole bunch of new trading blood in there. There we go. Look at that.
Now, I'm going to put up a short-term chart here.
Yes.
I want to make
like
a
your
point.
Short-term memory. It's my computer died because of the power
so
issue.
look at this. Look at this trend. Oh, no! Don't do that.
What's going on, Ed? Hey, you know what? We're going to start using a new program for markup, and it's going to be.
Yeah, but you know what? Let me try to get a word in edgewise here.
Okay, hurry up. That's it. Your time's up.
Okay, look at look at this trend.
Yes. Trend.
Break
friend.
a trend.
Friend.
Trend.
Friend.
Trend.
The end.
And now, it looks like we're starting a new trend here. So,
wow.
I'm cautioning you guys that, if you got out here and you made some money, maybe you might want to step back in. Looks like this baby, just saying. Now, what do we got? What's going on here?
We're having a little action over here, Ed.
Okay.
Keep talking. I noticed you built a little house there with your squiggly marks.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's called the Squiggly House.
Really? And why are you partial to squiggly remarks?
Squiggly marks or squiggly remarks?
Skid marks.
Skid marks.
Yeah.
Skid marks.
Skid marks.
Okay, did you used to peel the tires when you were a youngster?
No.
What the hell was that?
What the hell was what?
What do you got? You got mice in your pocket or something?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I keep hearing these sounds.
What sounds?
Those sounds.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Those sounds. Okay, enough tomfoolery.
Enough tomfoolery?
Okay,
what makes you think that's enough tomfoolery?
So no, anyway, look at this stock is volatile, and it trades like water.
Water.
In other words, you can get in, you can get out.
Really?
You can do lots of things.
Huh? Don't say, eh?
Okay, so we're gonna clean that chart. But that's been one of the greatest performers. I wonder, do you think we're going to see $1 billion market cap on this baby?
I do believe that, this is my opinion, which is definitely colored by the fact that I own the stock at an average cost of probably 50 cents. Or is it $1.50? I can't remember now.
Big difference.
Yeah, I know, but, I'm kind of out to lunch and loopy. I've got so much going on in my life that I don't even know.
You don't know whether you're coming or going.
Well, I can generally tell whether I'm coming or going.
You know what? You can tell, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, you know how I know?
I know.
How?
It's a bit of a rude joke.
What? You're gonna make a rude
tell.
joke? How can you tell?
I'll say. I'll tell you off the air, and then you can tell me if I can say it on the air sometime.
Okay, that sounds a bit disturbing.
Yeah.
Did you know my computer had closed as a result of a problem? My computer programs. You know why that's a problem, Ed? Do you know what I think about Apple and their products?
That's that bird.
Yeah. This foul-mouthed bird. Anyways.
They say that man is the smartest creature, but I don't see man flying around in jungles. But these things seem to be able to do everything.
Yeah. They can't knit. Have you ever seen a knitting cockatoo? Anyways, this show's about cannabis, right, Ed? Try to keep it on top.
Okay, let's take a look at CANN today.
CANN. Heritage Cannabis. Full disclosure, I just acquired another 60,000 shares today. Or I'm in the process of, I don't know if I got them yet, but I'm going to buy another. So clearly I am biased about this stock. Oh, and by way of disclosure, I'm executing warrants, so I'm paying 20 cents per share, not the market price today. So just because that's obviously why I'm accumulating more, is because the warrants are in the money, honey.
So look at this thing. This thing has really caught a bid.
All right.
Look at this.
Yeah.
3-month chart.
Yeah. Spectacular.
And now, we're getting into this, and it looks to me like today, even though that candle's red, It's an outside candle. I think that's the right terminology, but
wait a sec. You don't even know the terminology? You're our charter.
The determinology. Determinology.
Well, that's just weird.
That's ology that you determine.
That's some weird ass shit right there.
Look at this thing. Look at this thing. This thing is
heritage cannabis.
I think it's going to fly. You know, I think there's another.
Look at it go.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's like you could stand here and watch this thing go. I'm going to put follow CANN on my. So I've got this new trading platform or new charting platform. Actually, charting man Dan McDermott turned me on to this TradingView, and apparently this is what all the charters really use.
Right.
The real ones.
The real charters.
Yeah, not like me. But so here's look at heritage cannabis.
If you use this, what the real charters use, does that make you a charter member?
God, Ed, now you're starting to worry me. I don't know. I think if you're in full screen, for some reason my NDI is not picking up. Maybe I'm going to quit the ND. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to try to fix it myself right now. Never mind that. There we go. So now if I pull up the NDI, will it recognize because it... Oh, yeah, baby. No, it doesn't. Anyways, that's interesting. I wonder why that is. I'm going to find out in the next break. Ed.
OGI. OGI hit an all-time high today.
Oh, you know why OrganiGram hit an all-time high today?
You're going to tell me.
No, I'm not. Greg Engel, the CEO, is going to tell you. But after this.
OrganiGram Holdings Inc. is a New Brunswick-based company whose wholly owned subsidiary, OrganiGram Inc., is a licensed producer of cannabis and cannabis-derived products in Canada. OrganiGram produces indoor-grown cannabis for patients and adult recreational consumers in Canada and is currently developing international business partnerships to extend the company's global footprint. OrganiGram has developed a portfolio of legal adult-use recreational cannabis brands, including the Edison Cannabis Company, Anchor Organics, Trailer Park Buds, and Trailblazer. OrganiGram's primary facility is located in Moncton, New Brunswick. OrganiGram Holdings Inc. is listed on the TSX Ventures under the ticker symbol OGI.
Hey everybody, Greg Engel joins me now, CEO of OrganiGram Holdings, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol OGI. Greg, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again, James.
Greg, I had an immersive experience in your cannabis environment for the second time, practically, and I was really impressed with the sort of initiative demonstrated in terms of marketing the company with this little device that you've been sending out to media personalities like myself. Tell me about the motivation behind that and how that's bringing attention to the facility in Moncton.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've been to the facility and you've done the virtual tour. So one of the things we always get comments on is when people come to our facility is that it's world class. The whole experience is one where it's, you know, having a 3-level production indoor facility that's the largest in the world is really giving them a different experience. So we wanted to offer that to others to be able to go in and so really anybody can log in. We did send out to media and investors and some of the analysts, et cetera, you know, goggle sets to be able to do the tour, but it was really an initiative so that you can actually experience what it's like to be in a room and you can, you know, look around and look at production areas, look at processing areas, and it's narrated so you can get a sense of kind of what you're looking at, but it does give you that full 360 VR experience, which, you know, again, you've been there, but you've had the VR experience so you can compare and contrast.
Well, the 360 experience to me is so relevant because having been to almost all of the LPs in Canada, growing operations, it's quite impressive to see 3 levels of cannabis. I mean, it's really walls of cannabis everywhere you look, and that comes across very well with the 3D experience. Now, yesterday you announced that you were going to you've elected to exercise your right under the indenture governing your 6% convertible debentures to convert all of the principal amount into common shares of the company. Some investors are curious as to how does that impact dilution overall?
Yeah, so certainly when we did that initial debenture deal, the intent was always, it did have a forced convert at a 10-day VWAP of 705. We certainly were confident that our share price would go above that and we'd reach that point, and we've reached that point. So, we've already had almost $20 million of people convert themselves, right? Because people wanted to have access to the shares. The intent of this is now to convert the remaining kind of 18 million share, the conversion of the $98 million into 18 million shares. So it does add an additional 18 million shares, but certainly there's a demand out there for shares. Like, for example, yesterday when we announced our deal with Quebec, we saw our largest trading day ever with over 6.6 million shares traded on the TSX Venture. So definitely a lot of demand. So having more shares available through that conversion of the debenture is a positive thing for the market.
Sure, certainly more compelling for institutions who want to get involved.
It is, certainly, and that's where we've seen, historically, actually, a lot of institutions, our debentures, one of the advantages of them as well was that they were free trading. So we actually saw institutions that didn't participate in one of our previous financings build a position in the company through those debentures, so now they're in a position where they convert those to equity. So.
You bet. The most recent financials of Canopy and Aurora, the two largest Canadian ones arguably, demonstrated that they had achieved 50% of all the marijuana sold in the Canadian system. From OrganiGram's perspective, how do you attack that to sort of crowbar off more market share for OrganiGram, especially when you've got such strong brands across medical, recreational, and organic categories?
Well, I think when you look at, one of the things we saw in those, those results from those companies was that, two key things I would highlight. One is that, it was a bit surprising to me based on kind of some of the projections they'd given in the market that their level of production in that quarter that they reported was actually lower than our production. So we were actually producing more cannabis in the quarter that was reported than our last quarter that was reported. So even though in some cases they've got millions of square feet of greenhouse, they're not necessarily producing the volume that they need to meet the market demand. And we've heard that there are a number of companies that are out there that are actually purchasing product wholesale from other smaller companies to try and meet up with their demand. So that's not a sustainable, cost-effective model. So our approach of continuing to expand in our facility, building our brands ourselves, with arguably, as we talked about last time I was on, the lowest cost of production in the industry is one that's sustainable to help us build our brand. So, going into Quebec now that we just announced yesterday makes us, along with Aphria and Canopy, the only 3 national players that are in all 10 provinces. So giving access to all Canadians to our brands, I think, has been critical. And we've been very selective as we've added new provinces. So bringing in, British Columbia and now most recently Quebec, we've done that at a time frame when we were in a position to begin to look to start to supply them. And so, we've been very thoughtful in making sure we supply the provinces that we go into, and that we're increasing. And we did announce at the end of our last quarter, we had a significant backlog in packaging. Our issue wasn't production. So at the end of our last quarter, we had $91 million worth of product. 38 million of that was product for extraction, which we're working with Valens GroWorks now to extract. But the remaining product we've been moving through to get out into the market. So we did give guidance that in this current quarter that finishes up for us tomorrow will be at least double our previous quarter. So at a minimum, we'll be at $25 million, and we continue to kind of increase. We're now at 24/7 packaging and pre-rolls to kind of meet that consumer demand.
Sure. So the commanding half of the demand on the part of the 2 biggest incumbents is probably a temporary phenomenon, is what you're saying.
Well, I think, again, we're in a really strong position to supply the market, right? I mean, we have consistent yields batch after batch. We have low cost of production. We're worked through our bottleneck on packaging. So our ability to supply, and as I said, arguably in the last quarter that the 3 companies presented, we had more product produced in that quarter than either of those 2 companies, which again was surprising to me, based on some of the projections they previously or guidance had given. I know you've been to their facilities, but I mean, surprising when you're talking about millions of square feet of greenhouse to not be able to kind of come up with the production numbers that they'd previously outlined.
Right. I'm assuming, having been a bit of an agronomist myself in this sector from long ago, that actually getting a crop to follow through right from seedling to full harvest in a large scale environment like that is extremely difficult with a plant like cannabis, which lends itself so readily to so many pests and pathogens. Do you think that that these companies, we know that there's been a number of crop failures or incomplete crops. certainly anecdotally, we're hearing that from former employees, from a lot of the LPs. Is that a persistent problem that is representative of growing pains in the industry, or is that a persistent problem that's based on the unfortunate reality that growing cannabis in one large space is too susceptible to pathogens and to pests?
Yeah, I think when I look back at, I joined OrganiGram 2 years ago now, and at the time, and I'd been in the industry for a couple of years at that time, and we made a decision to go with expanding indoor production, right? Take our proven 3-level growing technology, improve what we're doing, and it's a kind of process of continuous improvement. So, and we did that when the majority and really most other players were going with large greenhouses as their expansion. The premise for us was based on improving quality, again, and that's the key in an environment an indoor producer has over a large greenhouse, is that we have a consistent environment, we can control that environment. We also limit, the size and capacity of any individual room. So if you do have a challenge, then it's limited in scope. And that's proven out not only in terms of our consistent ability to produce, a premium high quality product, but secondly, in terms of our cost, right? We didn't do that necessarily to kind of reduce our costs, but as our yields have grown so dramatically, and you've seen, flowers this big in our facility, and
the
that's
biggest
part
one
of
I've ever held in my life.
Yeah, and that's part of when people do the virtual reality tour, they'll be able to see some of the size of the flowers that we're growing. And that's not necessarily possible in a greenhouse environment because you can't control the environment. And I think for us, that's a huge advantage in terms of having that consistent supply, but also it's reduced our costs. I mean, at 56 cents cash cost in our last quarter, arguably half of it where anybody else is, at a minimum, and so others have been much, much higher than that.
Sure. How does the future look for advertising for cannabis? One of the main things that strikes me as extremely disadvantageous to LPs, especially relative to the alcohol industry, is how constricted you are from any form of advertising or differentiation in the media outside of earned media, so to speak, to really communicate the differences in your product and your approach. Is that constrictive environment going to ease up as this industry matures, or is that something that you think we're just going to have to live with and it's just always going to be a challenge for LPs?
I have two perspectives on that. One is that we've been very focused on the whole in-store experience, so making sure that and again, that's a challenge in Ontario today without retail, but in the rest of the country where retail is growing and the number of stores continues to increase, or in Atlantic Canada where there's a set number, what we're seeing is that we've invested heavily in digital and in-store materials, point of sale, and training staff, right? So the staff understand your product, and I think that's critical, so they can convey the benefits and features and benefits of your product over others. So that's a critical aspect today. I think as we move into kind of Cannabis Launch 2.0 this fall, when we have derivative products, edibles, vaporizable products, there has to be some loosening around some of the education aspects. People want to understand the effect. So, if you have, an edible that's going to have a 60, 90-minute effect until you have an onset of action, versus some of the formulations we've developed where potentially we have a beverage that is a 10 to 15-minute onset, you've got to be able to communicate that and differentiate that. And so it may have a lower cannabinoid number in terms of the number of milligrams versus another product, but the onset of action is faster and a shorter duration. So that's going to be critical, and I know from attending one of the roundtable sessions in the consultation, I think Health Canada is aware of that. It's going to be important for companies to be able to convey that information to consumers to understand what to expect. And again, I'm optimistic that the second point would be that we'll see an evolution in kind of the ability to brand and communicate, right? I mean, OrganiGram's focus on building brands, Edison Cannabis Company, Anchor Organics, our Reserve line on Edison, but we've got to be able to interact more with the consumer, right? And I think as the consumer, and that's the only way we're going to continue to push out kind of the illicit market at the end of the day. And I'm optimistic that it'll evolve and kind of Health Canada loosen up regulations over time on that.
You bet. Okay, so the rest of 2019, what are the big events on the calendar for OrganiGram that investors can keep an eye out for?
Well, I think again our Q2 2019 ends tomorrow, so we'll be reporting that in mid-April. Again, we've given guidance already in terms of what to expect in terms of revenue, and I think we're very focused. We've talked before about our partnership with Hyacinth, and Hyacinth continues to evolve and work towards commercial production in 2020 of biosynthetic cannabinoids. I think the other is we haven't made any announcement yet on our plans for the edibles and derivatives market. So you'll start to see that in the not too distant future from us in terms of what Cannabis Launch 2.0 looks like. And we've got a great team that's got a ton of experience from the food and beverage area. So we've got a lot of experience in, we've already announced we're doing development work on chocolates because of our past experience, but with Canada's Smartest Kitchen. But you'll continue to see more announcements and kind of what our 2.0 products look like. So
you bet. All right, Greg, that's a long discussion. We could probably go on forever, but let's leave it there and we'll leave some topic matter for the next time. Thanks for joining me today.
Awesome. Thanks again, James.
If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment. Exactly what you're telling me. OrganiGram. Finally getting the love that it has long deserved. We've been, OrganiGram
hit a new high today, ladies and gentlemen.
I know.
How many?
This has been one of my top picks for going on 5 years.
You own any?
Not anymore.
Interesting. One of your top picks and you don't own it.
I got stopped out a long time ago.
See, people, you get the truth here.
Yeah, well, that's true. I was my top pick, but I got stopped out when in the downdraft. Not even the 2018 downdraft, the 2017 downdraft end of year.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So after that,
that was a bad one.
Well, everything came roaring back in January, and it was like a case of, well, I'm not going to chase the damn thing. And plus, what happened is all these other stocks were cooking along way more effusively than OrganiGram. So OrganiGram coming back out of the bounce didn't look so good. So I actually ended up playing a whole bunch of other things, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, what amazes me is that there's so much action. Like there's action.
Action in the bullpen?
You may want to call this Action Jackson.
Action Jackson, that's what people call me, yo. No, just kidding. So Ed, let's talk seriously about your top picks in the mining space.
Well, the mining space, okay, I can answer that question. I can't answer this in the
cannabis
space. That's your forte.
Oh,
I'm minding my own business. I think if the drilling if the news keeps coming out of Amex like it is,
yes,
we could see a big multiple from here. Although good news came out today, the stock came off a bit. What does that tell you? Maybe there's some of the good stuff is baked in the cake.
Yeah. So you know what that tells me?
Little correction.
Okay, I'm going to pull up a chart of what were we just talking about?
Yeah. You go ahead and pull up that chart. You feel free. You can pull up any chart because you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Put up anyone. Here's a chart.
Yeah.
AMX.
Now, again, I have to disclose that I have a bit of a position in this stock.
Bit of a position? Oh, that position will choke a horse.
Well, it's going to choke a horse if it keeps going the way it's going.
And you know what? Let's say it's nice that you let me take lunch once in a while. And I do go out and take lunch, even though I have to pay for myself. And that's where I met Victor.
Wait a second. Was that just a pitch for us to absorb your midday meals?
Yep.
Boy,
I want a bit of a.
It's funny you say,
per diem.
You always say about me, you say you have the ability to ask for this shit. I just can't ask for this shit. I could never ask anybody to cover my lunch bill. So I mean, it's like I think it's just a case of scale.
Scale?
It's like I'm never going to bother asking anybody to cover my lunch bill, but I will ask them for 15%.
When you say scale, is that like scale on a fish?
No, it's like.
Okay.
Doe, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of gold sun. Anyways. So looking at this chart of Amex, as I am right now look at my new Funky Doodle.
Funky Doodle.
My Funky Doodle Trading View.
Yeah.
So I just became a premium member of Trading View. Why? Because the drawing tools on the other program that we use, quote, Stream, are
moving up a notch.
Inferior to this.
Well,
and so
I don't want to lose my job here, okay?
You don't want to lose your job here?
As a chartist.
Oh, well, you better get with the show.
Are you telling me that just because you got this tool now?
Funky new Cold Medina. Look at that. Okay, so watch this, Ed. I'm going to draw a line. Don't try to stop me. You try to stop me, you're going to be cold. So let's see. Oh, here's the base of support. Look, I'm a technical guy now. Boom.
Yeah.
And here's the previous high, at least in this time frame,
Right.
since 20th of August. So, oh, I forgot.
Wait, what are you looking at?
This is the range. This is the range.
What company?
This is Amex.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
That's not Amex.
American Mobile. Okay, it's not.
Okay, well,
you said Amex. You didn't say Amex Exploration.
That's amazing software. Holy shit! It's so amazing. You don't know what you're looking at.
I know what I'm
People
looking
are
at.
so mesmerized by the optics.
There we go.
Wow. Oh, you know how I knew that wasn't? Now that looks like Amex.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the chart we're supposed to be looking. So for all you poo-pooers about mining companies out there, this is what can still happen in the mining industry, even while there's a long-term secular bull market going on in the cannabis space.
But the reason it can happen is because you've got people with their ear to the ground and their nose to the grindstone.
What you've got in Amex Exploration is you've got a CEO who is probably one of the most connected guys in mining.
And a hard worker.
A hard worker.
Let's say
plus, he's
diligent.
also well known for not
honest.
He doesn't go out promoting everything that.
If you're
he
not
happens
watching
to
this,
own.
Victor, I'm going to be really pissed off.
So the thing I like about Victor is that he doesn't promote things, and so when he does actually come out sounding a little optimistic about something, you listen. Because he's got credibility that way. So that's why I ended up buying so much of this.
You know what the theme song to this chart is?
No.
Stairway to Heaven.
And she's buying the stair. Of all the Led Zeppelin songs, that's the one I hated the most.
You know why? Because you can't sing it.
Damn
Because you
boring.
can't hold a tone.
No, I can't hold a tune. I can hold a tone, but not a tune.
You can hold a tone.
I can hold a tone. I can hold a donut.
The center?
Hey, Ed, what's this? See?
You make me nervous. Jesus.
Anyway, getting back to the chart here on Amex, I want to put in some indicators, like where's my Bollinger Bands?
This thing has had a run, and
Here we go.
You know what? And let me just say this: that's not a good candle. That last candle, not a good one.
Okay. Thank you, anyways, Ed, for your opinion. So look at this.
Okay,
Look at this. Look at this. Is all trading outside of the Bollinger Bands. Historically, we have seen that when something trades so far outside of the Bollinger Bands, it is inevitable that it comes back inside the Bollinger Bands.
But you're looking at, and you know what? It's extremely overbought. And again, I like to use my charts because I can relate to my charts. These fancy charts you're looking at.
These are candles, Ed.
Candles.
These are candlesticks.
Okay. It's had a big run.
Yeah.
But they keep finding gold and they're stepping out.
Yeah.
So at some point here in the very near future, we get a down day tomorrow, I might be stepping in heavy.
Well, see, here's the thing. They put out the press release today. Their first step out hole, they encounter 5.8 meters of, what was it? Almost an ounce per ton. Let's pull up that press release quickly.
What was the metal again? Was it copper?
What was the metal? It's gold.
Oh, Jesus. Thank God.
Oh, you're messing with me now. You're preying on my
Okay, let's talk about some other picks here, okay?
Amex Exploration.
I think we want to give more than one pick per show.
But we're going into PDAC.
Where? When?
What do you mean when?
When do you go? We're going where?
Well, no, we're going into PDAC. We are going into the PDAC.
Oh, you're excited? Wee!
No, you're going. I'm not. I'm going to California.
You know what? And I'm going to exercise poetic license here while you're away. And
poetic license?
Yeah.
Doesn't that imply that you've got some poetry in you?
Poetry?
Poetry, assault and battery.
I'm from Poland.
Amex intersects 581.6 grams per ton gold over 0.8 meters in their first step out drilling, expanding the high grade horizon at Perron. Perron is the name of the project. So here's my thing. The stock sold off a little bit today, but on very low volume.
Volume was pretty good, actually.
No, look at that. The volume is incrementally deteriorating here.
Yeah, but that's more than, let's see. Is each one of those lines one day? I don't think so. No.
That's actually not the volume, is it?
I don't know what that is.
We're new to trading views, so we don't know quite what's going on yet.
Maybe I should.
Yeah, I think that's.
You know what, Captain?
What?
Why don't you let the co-pilot here step in there and see what he can figure out?
You didn't even know what the candlesticks look like.
You didn't even know what chart you were looking at.
You don't even know how to tie your damn shoes. That's it. We're deteriorating into a state of.
Okay.
Look at. We're picture in picture up there. Did you see that? Boy, oh boy! As soon as we get all these neat tools figured out.
Okay, so big success there. Put a little
chicken in the choking.
It put a little
harmony in the melody.
No. It's in your step. And put a little spring.
Bounce. Bounce. The fabric softener.
Not bounce. Spring.
I'm talking
spring
fabric softener.
Okay. Little alliteration.
Procter and Gamble.
Alliteration. Okay. So then on the show when I did the thing with Ore Bodies, Canadian Ore Bodies, which is the founder of the McKinnon family,
There's you in slow motion up there.
I can never get this in sync in this thing. Jesus.
Oh, okay.
He said that this.
I want to be off in the eye right now.
He said in the interview that this could be an Amex lookalike.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Amex lookalike. And what's Canadian Ore Bodies done since they've been on the show?
I don't know.
Up and away.
Up and away.
It was 28 cents the day they came on. Okay, 28 cents.
Okay.
44 today.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Okay, let's put it up.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a look.
Right.
Because you asked the question, now here comes the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, here it comes. Look at this Canadian Ore Bodies. Same time frame now, not as steep, but look at this.
What? Oh, you're up on the old quote stream. Boy, what's that, like for dinosaurs or something?
Yeah.
They missed that in the control room.
Yeah.
Come on, Ed, do it again.
How come I don't get it?
I don't know. He's a little slow.
Look at
sleeping in there. Oh, see now, there you go.
Look at this. This chart.
Give me that one more time. Come on. Your heart's not in it.
Yeah, you know what?
Damn.
I'm a dinosaur, all right. In more ways than one.
Yeah.
I'm so old I got dinosaur shit.
I want to say hello to some people in our chat room who are regulars there. Mike Avery says he hopes Aurora hits $13 by the end of March. I hope it does too, Mike. You know why? Because then we're going to be rich. Don't need to be rich. You have to be a bitch. Remember that song? Let's see, who else? There's a lot of people here I don't recognize. Faye Smith is here. She's our regular. Nikki Domi, he's here. She's always good for a participation. Carl Bowden, hello. Pumpin' and dumpin' AMX.
Is the lady
Listen
with the
to
name?
this. That's Carl Bowden. Pumpin' and dumpin' AMX. What is he insinuating?
Yeah.
Carl, not dumping. Did sell some on the way up. Stopped selling when I realized it had legs, and I haven't sold a share in probably 10 days.
5-10 minutes. My market's been closed now 10 minutes.
No, I haven't sold a share.
You've done as well. Like I've sold a lot of stock a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Much to my chagrin.
Yes.
However.
Yeah. You know why I'm hanging on? Because this is the week leading up to the PDAC, and a lot of companies like to dress their companies. And
I don't think Victor's like that, though.
No?
No, I think Victor thinks this is a big boy, big number.
Really?
And Sprott put dough in it. And he originally saying he wasn't sure. And then he said, yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to resist. And those drill results are something else.
I know, but let's face it, not every deal that our good friend Eric Sprott, not that he's my friend, but well respected.
What? He's not your friend?
Well, I like
piss him off or something.
I'm probably he's my friend, but I'm not sure he thinks of me as his friend.
Really?
Let's say that.
Oh.
Let's say there's reciprocity.
Well, that's a bit disturbing. Maybe we should give him a call.
You know what?
You can go and have a beer with Eric any Thursday night at the. I shouldn't say that.
PJ's.
Never mind. We're not going to out Eric's favorite drinking holes. That's just not right.
That's not right.
Anyway, so let's talk a bit about some cannabis, Ed, because our audience here is talking about cannabis, so we may as well join them.
Well, we talked about OJ. Now.
No, you know what we're going to do?
JWCA had a big run this week.
Who are they?
Johnson Wagner.
Johnson Wagner. Wow, James E. Wagner, Cultivation Corporation. I'm going to pull up some cannabis indexes here. That'll get us back on track. Okay, so here's the theme of the day. Looking at the, let's make sure that we're on the right fish. Yes, we are. Here's the 4 indexes for everybody to see. The Cannabis Large Cap Index, which is all the companies trading over $1 billion in Canada, down 1.42%. The small caps are companies under 500 million, down 1.23%. So basically a minor down day in the sector.
Minor down day, but I want to point out, and again, it's not about mining against cannabis here.
Yes.
Get it? Mining against cannabis.
Mining versus cannabis.
That chart in the cannabis space, so we've had an unbelievable run with the really good ones having solid participation, solid gains, but they've been sort of, as the S&P is having trouble getting through 2,800. Have you noticed that? The last 3-4 days, we're having trouble getting through 2,800, and that was one of the previous high points. We may be running into a wall here. Shall we put up the SPX and look?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that most of the audience finds that about as boring as I do watching paint dry. But
wait, how often do you watch paint dry?
Remarkably seldom. Because if I walk by and somebody's painting, I'm like, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to sit here and waste my life watching paint dry. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to smoke dope and screw school and work and all that.
Look at this.
Do you ever get a hangover from smoking weed, Ed?
No.
There's no such thing as a weed hangover, is there?
I think the hangover is caused from alcohol evaporating. And
whoa. I'm talking weed, not...
No, but that's what a hangover comes from, so how can you get one? There's no alcohol in weed.
Well, good point. Well, Sean has something to say about that.
We've all been there. The greatest night of your life turns into a headache the next morning of biblical proportions. And you try everything. Hair of the dog, energy drinks, prairie oysters, and so much water. And they all work to some degree when it comes to alcohol. But what about a hangover from weed?
I've never had a weed hangover.
Can't say I have.
No, never smoked it.
Yes, actually.
I've had a weed hangover.
I haven't smoked weed lately, but I used to smoke a lot, so I'm sure I did.
Mostly, I get really nauseous with weed hangovers, actually. I don't get as nauseous with alcohol.
Extra drowsy. I'm just extra hungry in the morning when I wake up.
Headaches, decreased cognitive function, nausea, fatigue. These are all symptoms that one company claims could come from a weed hangover. Jumping into a hot market, Livli has developed a supplement that supposedly helps negate these effects. It's been approved by Health Canada for sale and is already available for purchase. This little pill claims to change the game for weed consumers. I sat down with Dmitry Budovich. He's the CEO of Folium Labs Inc., the creators of Livli.
Hey Dmitry, thanks so much for joining us. So tell me about your company and what it is that you do.
Our company is Folium Labs Inc. It's a Montreal-based nutraceutical company that develops products that enhances and optimizes overall cannabis experience and cannabis lifestyles.
And how would you characterize a cannabis hangover?
Cannabis hangover may be characterized by the following symptoms. It's typical lack of energy, lack of motivation, lack of focus, loss of concentration, may have a little bit of a short-term memory issues.
And so what has your company developed to counteract these effects?
Yeah, we actually assembled a team of different scientists, PhDs, and naturopathic doctors, and we came up with a solution that would include very well-known science-backed ingredients, natural ingredients. These are non-GMO. Our formulation consists of a set of vitamins, set of minerals, and set of botanicals.
But there is some skepticism, so I wanted to ask people if they thought this was tackling an actual condition.
I have heard stories about people being high at work and how it affects the way they work.
Any kind of narcotic can probably have some sort of hangover, I think, in my mind. If you have too much of something, hell, even if you eat too much, you always feel like you're going to be hungover on that in a sense,
But I do think it does have an effect, yes.
If it is a real thing.
Finally, I wanted to ask people if they had heard of any kind of hangover medication before, and if that's something they would ever take themselves.
I definitely think there's something like that out there, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I think I would. Depends on two things. One, the price of it, and two, the constituent elements that are in the pill.
While many experts claim that a steady intake of water the night before will dramatically decrease or even completely prevent any sort of hangover, Health Canada's approval of this pill may help you the next morning, in case you make the mistake of forgetting that. Unfortunately, it can't erase all the mistakes that you made the night before.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com.
Oh, yeah.
So it turns out there is a weed hangover. I just always refer to that as the morning, not a hangover.
The morning after.
The morning. I mean, I don't think it's... So, yes, granted, you smoke a whole bunch of weed the night before, you are a little bit extra fuzzy, maybe a little bit hungrier. That one girl said she gets nausea when she smokes too much weed, which, you know, who knows? We can't be cognizant of all the physiologies out there.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes people have an idea of what a word means, and another person has a different idea of the same word. That's why speaking in language is so...
subject to interpretation.
It's so, and especially when you're looking at texting, because then there's no
context.
Well, there's the text. So,
but there's no context.
Well, no, but I'm talking about texting.
Yeah, but there's just a text, no context.
What is it? Now you're talking about con? What are you talking about here?
Con.
Text.
French for.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm looking at a chart right now of Kronos Group.
So am I.
Are you?
Oh, and you got the fancy stuff.
I got the fancy.
I guess you're going to keep me back in the dark ages.
They're going to keep you under wraps, Ed. But I wanted to point out that so Kronos Group is still, you know, it's still up there. But look at this one candle where it actually was up. Wait, what the hell
now,
is this?
Okay, but before I go further, I need information because my chart looks different than your chart, okay?
Yeah, I'm on, let's see, I'm on the, let's go for the 3-month look here.
Okay, now, okay, let's
5 day.
Peri passu.
1 month.
No, 3 month.
3 months.
Okay, what do you want?
This is 30 minutes. That look was 1 day, I think. No. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to take me a while to figure out.
That's a longer term chart there, okay?
I'm sure that if Charting Man Dan is watching, he's laughing his head off. That's watching us fumble around and.
He probably sold you his version of this thing.
No, he didn't sell it to me, but I haven't spent any time reading any of the tutorials.
Okay, so you know how when the Ballingers widen out here as they did here, they're now starting to narrow.
Where?
So where?
Yeah, I don't see any Bollinger Bands.
You would know.
What are you talking about?
If a Bollinger Band came in here and bit you on the ass, you wouldn't know.
I'd know a Bollinger Band if it snapped back and broke my nose.
That's your Achilles tendon.
Ed's your Achilles tendon? What do you think of that? Okay, I want to have a quick conversation about the ongoing attempt by the Trudeau government to undermine the rule of law in Canada using terminology like undue influence as opposed to coercion to describe what's going on with the PMO's office.
But maybe he doesn't have enough experience to be prime minister. Like maybe that's the problem.
He comes from a legacy of familial legacy of prime ministerial feedstock.
Yeah, that's not.
But my question for you, Ed, is this? Do you think this qualifies in the same sort of context as Operation Car Wash in Brazil that took down, like, pretty much ruined 3 governments and continues to consume people and have them incarcerated? You think it's on the same scale as that, and we're just scratching the iceberg with this SNC Lavalin?
You know, I'm a very apolitical person.
Yeah, I'm not apolitical.
I know you are. We talked about this.
Yeah.
And I'm also very cynical. I believe that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what I think this is. I think for us to sit here and say, you know, what would we do if I was in power? Maybe I'd go get myself a new car right away. You know, like I'd say, hey,
put it on the government tab.
Hey, they'll never figure this out. It's only a Rolls Royce.
So did this cure your hangover?
Yeah.
Really?
Take a few.
No, I don't.
No, don't you find though that, like, if you don't have money in the game, if you don't have skin in the game, there's a book out there right now. It's a bestseller. Well, that's why government's.
What's it called?
Skin in the Game.
Oh, okay. Who wrote it? Some guy.
He's famous. He wrote The Black Swan.
Nassim Taleb. Yeah, I didn't agree with him on that.
You didn't, eh?
No.
Well,
Because if you recall at the time, the onset of that crisis, a black swan, as he describes it, is something that's unforeseeable and comes out of nowhere with nobody having the... People in our real money crowd, tin hat, tin pot wearing, tin sword swinging, everybody was saying this is going so sideways. The whole movie The Big Short was predicated on a bunch of guys who saw it coming. So was that a black swan event? In the whole context of black swan events,
look,
to categorize something as a black swan event,
I think you're splitting hairs.
Well, the most important thing in avoiding misunderstanding in the ultimately subjective realm of language is definition. So it's splitting hairs. It might seem trivial, but that's how you arrive at definition.
Remember Samson and Delilah?
Yeah.
Remember
Samson and Delilah.
Remember when he got his strength back and he went and he was blind?
Yes.
And he went searching for those pillars?
Yes. I'm blind, but I can't see.
He knew the Colosseum was coming down, but nobody else did. So was that a black swan? Somebody's got to know. There's always someone that's just a little smarter and sees that, hey, the average, it's when I think 98% don't see it. And come on, there were people out there that knew this was crazy. They were valuing things at such ridiculous valuations.
Yeah, no, it was,
they were given money.
Money was on the wall.
Well, you know, look what they did to Iceland. Look what they did to Ireland. I mean, blah, 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 right?
Blah, 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 blah.
No, I think, anyway, back to the book about skin in the game. So big companies and governments can't be effective because they don't have any money in the game. It's not their money.
Well, they steal our money.
That's why it's such bullshit.
Well, although...
It's like, hey, you pay taxes, I'm going to take your money, give it to this guy, and on the way through, I'm going to take a little cut. What could be simpler?
That's called taxation, and I wouldn't go down that road. They're going to come looking for you.
Yeah. I know. Look at...
Wheatgrass. Interesting. Let's see. Lots of conversation going on there. Shevet ketostatic Bafanifi. I'm getting there, Shevet. They're having just a great old conversation in our chat room.
What are they saying?
All kinds of shit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, let's throw it out there. Is there something that... well, time's up. Look at this. CNNX.
You know why our views are so low today? Like there's only 156 watching today?
Weather.
It's because of weather makes bad weather makes people watch.
Okay, so
more.
they're watching the Trudeau thing?
Well, there's the Trudeau thing ongoing in Canada because what's her name? Jody Wilson-Raybould is testifying right now. And then in the United States, we've got Michael Cohen is testifying. So in that context, we're really kind of, small fish. But so that's why I want to say to all of our audience, thanks very much for being here. We really enjoy having these discussions with you.
Watch it later tonight when you're through watching these other performances.
Yeah.
Watch our performance.
CR, there would be no show without Trudeau, Simon Cleary says. Simon Cleary, good point. I voted for Trudeau because of his stance on cannabis, but don't you feel a little ripped off that now he's trying to subjugate the rule of law to economic interest? That's the essence of corruption in my view, so you don't have to agree with me, but that's what I think. That's why I'm really disturbed by that.
So do you think when a person thinks they're special, there's special rules for them?
No.
Well, this is what they're saying here.
Well,
right?
That's just it. No, nobody can be above the law, and nobody in reality.
But the law is man-made, so it's flawed to begin with.
No, actually, I would argue, Ed,
the law is not man-made.
True law is not man-made. The laws of gravity are not man-made.
Okay.
And nobody can bend those rules.
How many true laws are there?
There's billions.
No, they're not.
No, there's billions.
No, I don't think so. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 or 4, maybe at the most. Oh, think about it. Gravity causes heat.
Gravitation.
Heat.
Well, okay, so there are a bunch of laws.
And what does heat cause? Lots of things.
Okay, so there's billions of laws, probably of which we have discovered maybe 4 or 5. We've been able to articulate 4 or 5 in our language, which is limited. But I think there's billions of laws that are yet to be discovered.
Billions.
But among those are not the laws of men, because the laws of men are actually rules designed to transfer wealth from those who have to those who have lots and need more.
It's insanity.
This has become a philosophical conversation.
Maybe that's why we don't want to lose our viewers here.
No, they started it. You guys started it. Let's see.
Okay.
Mary Kemp makes a good point that the GOP has done nothing to defend Trump's crimes, only pointing out Cohen's crimes. Very, very valid. I can't believe anybody. Never mind. That's getting political. Somebody was saying, wondering, CR was saying, what does everybody expect for MedMen's revenues? Surprise to the upside, disappoint to the downside, or more or less what is expected? What is your view, Ed?
Well, I'm going to take a look at the chart.
Bring up the chart then.
You know what?
It's an update. I'll let you know that right there, that it's up a couple of points today. And to me, that indicates the market has expectations of a...
Remind me where that trades again.
It's MMEN on the CSE.
Okay, 431, up 2 pennies.
But the trend?
It's sideways right now. It's not building up ahead of steam. It doesn't look like. We're going back and forth.
Ooh, Felix J. Romero says, every law is in the employ of some higher purpose. Is that implying what would you call that? An ecclesiastical presence that overrides everything? Or are you suggesting that all laws are subordinate to a greater law, which is merely... Simon Cleary says, corruption is definitely not cool, but else does no one do business in the Middle East? That's a good point.
I'll tell you this about MedMen.
Okay.
We're jumping around here.
Yeah.
MedMen's got nicely range bound right now. You got a sort of narrower bands. Whichever way it breaks through there, where you can look at it and say, yeah, that's definitely a breakout or a breakdown. That's the side you want to be on. I don't know what that's looking like. I'm going to guess. It looks to me like this wants to break down at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I see how this move here. Look at the slope of that move. Okay, 45-degree angle. These moves here were a lot sharper, and now they seem to be losing steam. See that? See that?
Yeah. Interesting.
Sort of a ladder with...
Mike Avery wants to know if all these IPO companies are diluting the market or adding to it. What's your opinion?
I say diluting. I think the weaker ones will be pushed out, and the stronger ones will prevail.
Huh.
Or look at OGI, for instance, new highs today.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
We're firing on all cylinders, Captain.
Firing on... Okay. I'm stuck. What are you implying? I'm watching a small...
You're not even watching. You're not even listening.
No, I'm watching a small dust-up breakout in our chat room. This guy, Neurosis333, has decided to pump this company, Helix, saying that Vicente Fox has just joined the board, and everybody's jumping on him saying, hey, stop pumping the stock. Vil FIN says MedMen earnings are out. Why guessing? We're talking about the next earnings coming out on March 12th, I think we said, not the ones that are already out. So that's why everybody's pontificating. Okay. No show without Uncle Ed, says Axel Hux. I guess they're glad to see you back after your vacation.
Well, a little vacation. Vacated my brain. Do you know that when you go away on vacation, you just have to take yourself with you?
Yeah.
You can't, everybody thinks I'm going to go down there and relax, but generally most people go and they take their insides with them.
Really?
Their essence.
MedMen what? Today?
Earnings out today?
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because on our upcoming releases, it said it was March something.
MedMen's out now.
Oh, it was today. Duh. Yes, okay. Sorry, nothing. Everybody back on their heads. CDAR, let's go look at MedMen's financials, shall we?
I'm going to do it right now. Is it traded in the U.S. too?
Interim financial statements, S5T6J. Here we go. All right, let's take a look straight to the revenue, operations and comprehensive loss. Okay, so revenue 29 million, 30 million bucks. For the 13 weeks ended December 29th, what did they change their year-end or
They
something?
lost $64 million in the Q2.
Wow. Okay, so more importantly, loss from operations, 62 million in the 26 weeks, 13 weeks. Okay, so wait a sec. So they're losing the same amount of money. They haven't improved their losses. Let's see, relative to their revenue. I'd be interested to see the press release on this.
I got it right here.
What does the press release say?
System-wide sales revenue of $29.9 million, which represents a 39% increase quarter over quarter. And you say the loss is about the same? If you see an improvement in revenue, you'd like to think there'd be an improvement in the bottom line.
Well, that's just it. An improvement in revenue with no improvement on
which
net
makes you
margin.
think that they think, hey, we got extra money to work with here. Let's pay ourselves more salary.
Yeah. So pretty much.
I'm not saying they're doing that.
Pretty much, it says increased overall gross profit margin to 53% compared to 45%. Gross profit margin. That's
all the overheads after that.
Yeah, that's right. That's not really relevant. So first comment I would have on MedMen's report is that when a company tries to paint bad news, a bad financial report, in a positive light, that's the first sign that maybe, you don't want to be holding on to that stock.
Well, let's see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be a good day to look at what the market actually, because it doesn't trade in the U.S., does it? No.
Yeah. So let's see what's going on tomorrow. Speaking of which, Ed.
Well, I'll tell you what's going on tomorrow.
It's snowing out. Richard Goldseed's going to be here from Cantab Therapeutics. Dan Matlow joins us from Vital Hub Corporation. Brian Athade, the CEO of the Green Organic Dutchman, is here. All that coming up tomorrow. This week.
Are we ready to move on here?
Are we ready to move on to what?
To the next phase.
Next phase of evolution?
Of our existence.
Yeah.
Are you ready to transcend into your higher state?
Do I want to eat the blue pill or the red pill? Is that what you're asking me? Because it sounds like that's what you're asking me, Ed. Yeah, I'd eat the blue pill.
So,
is the blue pill the one that sent him down into the into the Matrix, or was it the blue pill that made him go home and pretend like nothing ever happened?
Yeah, there's a few. I'd like to watch it a few more times. I've only watched it 100 times. And,
you'd think you'd be able to remember that detail.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I love that show.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I love that show. Excellent. We're going to remind our listeners and our viewers to stay tuned, because we're going to start broadcasting these shows from YouTube studios around the world in a very short period of time. Next week, we're in Los Angeles, California.
Who's we?
Who's we? Not me. I mean, yes, me, but not you.
Okay.
And we're going to be interviewing illustrious personages for our upcoming documentary film, O Cannabis, the new war on drugs, coming out at some point in 2019. What else is going on?
What's going on?
What's going on? Nothing. Don't forget to like us. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.